So last time, we created this intro right here, which is going to be the abstract intro. And so you know what's going to happen here. We're going to go...
Work today is broken. We're all working in
RPG Maker MV. It's a thing that lets you make RPGs quite easily. So let's get straight into it. To create your own RPG, step 1 is to go create a new project. So let's go to the top left of this little blank place right here and click on this little piece of paper. So click and boom. So now we gotta create a new project. Step 1, name the folder. Since you can't really change the name of the folder after it's created, you have to make sure this is something that really concerns the project. And then next time, anywhere, do it. Recommend not you're gonna be and eventually it'll get there. So RPG Maker MV project called So let's get straight into doing stuff. As you can see right here, we have sort of like a faded out player on top of this large grassy plain I get. So let's make it something else. If we go into the top right here, we'll notice that we have like this little grouping of this thing and this thing. This is going to allow you to actually like draw on the map and draw like plains, draw sands, draw mountains, do whatever. So I need to click on this. Next, let's click on what we want to edit. So let's try clicking on this sandy path thingy right here. Now finally, we're going to click on the tool we're going to use. So the tool I'm going to use is just going to be the pencil. Then finally, I'm just going to click on that and then just draw away. So here we have it. We're drawing the sand path thingy. Yay! So let's go try out some of the other tools. So if we click on this tree right here, we can use the rectangle tool to create a rectangular shape for our forest. If we click on this circular or ellipse shape, then we can go and make a circular shape for our little like cloud plane thingy right there. If we click on this little paintbrush, this can be the bucket tool, which allows us to just bucket the whatever you want. So let's make it so it's instead of all this clouds, it's gonna be mountains on the clouds, apparently. Well, that's awesome. So if you want to play out your amazing masterpiece, all you have to do is go to the top right and click on this play button. It's going to ask you if you want to save. Of course, you're going to say yes, and then we're going to go straight into it. We brought to our beautiful title screen, not the default boring title screen you're going to hate eventually, but this beautiful one that has our amazing game title listed on top. Hit the enter button and we can start our new game. And it'll fade out and bring us to our players just standing in this weird location. We can move around using the arrow keys. The last thing you may need to note for creating your own map, if you right click on a tile, you'll copy that tile onto your like grass. Right click on this sandy place, I can draw more sand and hooray, more mountains with the white tile under it. And if you want to use more tiles, we can click on the tab B or the tab C and we can have more tiles we can use in drawing our map. So we can take this road, we can like copy that and we can just, whoa, there we have a road thingy, yay. So now it's actually going to create a super amazing map. Not saying this one isn't super amazing, but we're going to make one better. And here it is, our beautiful new world. If we look in the bottom left, we can find that, hey, here's a little town. And if we look at like the top right, here's our grassy mountains. We also have these normal mountains, this like mansion place, and this like corporate building that's just sitting there because why not? And so here it is. Now if you want to export and let others play your amazing game thing, whatever, all you have to do is go to top left, file, deployment. We're going to be asked to save our game. We're going to hit yes. Then we're going to be given choices to what platform we want to export to, exclude unused files, and our output location. So let's set it so our platform is going to be either Mac OS or Windows, depending on what you want to send it to or which one you're using. So I'm going to click Windows, I'm going to exclude unused files, and then finally it's going to ask for an output location. I'd say just leave it on your desktop, why not? Now let's hit, wait, before you hit OK, this thing also says Android/iOS. This does not create an Android or iOS file. It's a lot more complex. Don't touch this. You're gonna cry. It's gonna be horrible. We'll get to that later. But for now, click on Windows or Mac and hit OK. So once it's done, we'll have this folder called our first RPG ever, and we can select our game by simply going to the game.exe and running it. So we'll run it. And this will bring up our game without the title on the top. It goes straight in, so we can like work and we can go. That's pretty much all. All right. Learn how to make this video, give this video a thumbs up. What do you want? Dragon that gives you a free potion. So in the last tutorial, we created this map right here, but you can't do anything. You can just walk around and that's it. There's nothing you can do. Player character. So to start off, if you look back up here, if you remember in the previous tutorial, we clicked this button to edit the display or the looks of the map. But if you click on this one, this allows us to create events. Now, an event is sort of like the mechanics of the game. So anything that involves like something happening, an NPC perhaps, like a monster, all of those are going to be events, and they're going to be displayed on your map. So to create an event, first we're going to have this clicked. Next, simply go to one of these tiles. As you can see, you can highlight them. I want you to just double click on one of these tiles, and it should bring up this big, crazy looking event creator thing. So let's get straight into creating an NPC. First thing is we gotta decide how this event is going to be triggered. So when an event is triggered, all the stuff that is going to eventually be placed in this big open empty area right here is done through the trigger. So if we look right here, we have this thing called trigger, and it's set to action button. Now this means when the player uses the action button, which is going to be like enter or the keystroke Z, this will trigger the event. Furthermore, we also have the priority. Now the priority is going to be where the event is positioned relative to the player. So let's set it as same as characters, which means it's going to be on the same plane as the player characters. Finally, we have the image. Now the image is going to be what the event looks like on the map. If we look right here, RPG Maker MV, stroke Z, all this an NPC tiles, and it should bring up this big, crazy looking event creator thing. So let's get straight into creating an NPC. First thing is we gotta decide how this event is going to be triggered. So when an event is triggered, all the stuff that is the trigger. So player uses the action button, which is going to be like enter or the keystroke Z, this will trigger the event. Furthermore, we also have the priority. Now the priority is going to be where the event is positioned relative to the player. So let's set it as same as characters, which means it's going to be on the same plane as a player character, like on the map. If we look right here, RPG Maker. Now the image is going to be what the event looks like on the map. If we look right here, RPG Maker MV already has tons of characters we can use to do stuff. So let's go to one of these random characters like Actor 2, this person right here. Let's click on the middle person, and here we have them. They're in our image section. So now, to make this event do something, we have to add something to the contents area right here. So to add something, simply double click, and it's going to bring up this huge thing with all these different choices for what you can add. There's even multiple tabs. So we have all this stuff right here. Go to tab 2. We have all this stuff here. Go to tab 3. We have all this stuff here. And it doesn't matter how long you spend making RPGs, you'll probably never get used to all the crazy stuff right here. But for the time being, we're going to focus on the first thing right here, which is to appear when we interact with this event. So let's input, hello, I am an event. And that's it. If you want to preview how it looks, simply click this preview button and it gives you a basic understanding of what it's going to look like. We can position it at the bottom of the screen, the middle, or the top. I just say leave it on the bottom. And then we can also set so it has a window background, a dim background, or a transparent background. For the time being, I say just leave it at window, and that's good to go. Let's hit OK. Let's hit OK, and our event is done. And as you can see, our event displays right here on the screen. So let's run our game and see how this event turns out. So here we are inside the game. We're moving around and all normal stuff. Enter while event. If we hit to this event. So let's go back and we can add more stuff like show another text. So this is another dialogue. And there we have another dialogue. But let's try another cool thing we do. We also have this thing called show choices. And this is going to show multiple choices. And have each one do something else. So the choices are yes, no, or whatever. So let's make choice 1 be I like hamburgers. And when we hit OK, it's going to have 2 little sections right here in which we can put in different things. So for example, if we say I like hot dogs, this person will say I hate hot dogs. Ew, like that. And then if we go to the hamburger section and we double click inside of here, we can create another show text that says I love hamburgers. Yeah. And so each of these events are going to be played in order. So first this dialogue, next this dialogue, then it's going to show choices. If choice 1 is chosen, it's going to say I hate hot dogs. Ew. If choice 2 is chosen, it's going to say I love hamburgers. Yay. So let's once again hit OK. Let's go to our game and let's test out this thing we did. So let's go to our event. Next to hamburgers. I love what I want to know about when creating NPC. Clicking on it, it's right here. It says Fate B. So if we look around it, the existing things. So if we look at this play RPG Maker and before, so if we right here, so viewing it dialogue, all this next time RPG Maker tutorial out.
Yan ang win! Snack and match naman!
So, in the previous tutorial, we created this NPC that talks to us, and that's all we did. But we never really fixed the original problem, which is, we have all these towns, buildings, mountains here, but how do we actually get inside these towns, or mountains, or buildings, or whatever? To do so, we're going to create a new map, and teach how to transfer the player to that new map. So before we actually do anything, we actually gotta first create a new map. So to do so, go down to your game title right here, right click on it, and hit new. And this will bring up like a new menu creator thingy. So we can make the name Town 1, and that's it. And we'll go to OK, and the map will be created. But let's say we don't want these settings, and we want to change the map settings. All you have to do is go back to our Town 1, hit space when it's highlighted, and it'll bring up the settings again. So let's make it so the tile set is outside as opposed to overworld. Our previous map had the overworld tile set, which means it had all like the small towns, the mountains, and it just basically be a map that the player used to travel long distances. On the other hand, the outside or inside tile sets will be for like general locations that are more local, so we'll be using that. Let's also make it so the width is something like 30. And the display name. This town will expand, get bigger, and as you can see in the left, we have a different tile set available to be used for our tiles. So I'm going to go quickly create a map. One final thing is that if you hold control and scroll backwards, you can actually zoom out for your tile creation, or you can just push these plus and minus magnifying glasses on the top right here to zoom in or zoom out. Anyway, speed up, activate. And our map is pretty much done. So now let's actually make it so the player can get to this map by doing something in this map. So let's zoom back into this part right here. Let's go into our event creation mode and let's double click on top of the map. And now we're going to create a new type of event. So first thing we have to do is set the priority to below characters. And this means the player has to be standing on top of the event before it activates. Next, let's set it so the trigger is player touch. This means the player is going to walk on top of this event. When he's done and he's standing on top of the event, then it's going to transfer him to wherever he needs to go. On the other hand, if you did action button, this would mean the player would be standing on top of it, then click enter or Z to actually make the event run. So in this example, we're actually going to be using player touch. So now we're going to go to our contents. We're going to go inside, go to the second tab, go to the first one right here, which is called transfer player. Click on this. Now we're going to select where the player is going to be transferred. So click this right here, and now we're going to have a list of all of our maps, just 2 right now. So we're going to click on Town 1, we're going to click on this new entrance spot right here. Then we're going to set the direction to left, since we want the player to be looking left when the transfer is done. We'll set the fade to black, though you can also use white, or you could remove it completely. Then 2 right now, so we're going to click on Town 1, we're going to click on this new entrance spot right here. Then we're going to set the direction to left, since we want the player to be looking left when the transfer is done. We'll set the fade to black, though you can also use white, or you could remove it completely, though black is a good standard way to do it. So we'll hit OK, and this event is actually done. We do not need an image because we want this to be invisible and see the player just click on it or walk on it without actually having to know that there's anything going on. So let's go ahead and hit the OK. Now let's copy the event. We'll right click, we'll hit copy. Now we can just go up to one of these other tiles and hit paste and paste it on top of all of the town. So we can also do Control V to just paste it faster. And now when the player walks on top of any part of this town, it'll transfer them to the Town 1 map. So now in the Town 1 map, let's actually go to this tile right here. Let's double click on it. And let's also create another transfer event for moving back. So once again, we'll do the trigger, player touch. We'll go to the contents. We'll go to second tab, transfer player, go choose a place. We'll choose map 001. We'll choose this spot right here. We'll make sure they're looking down, and then we'll fade to black. We'll hit OK. We'll hit OK. We'll save, and now we'll run our game to test it out. So now here we are inside of our game. We're walking around, and we want to go into this map. So all we gotta do is walk on top of it, and we go transferred into the map. So now we're in Town Ruby, and as you can see, we're actually inside the map we created. Now let's go back outside by just walking back to this part right here, and it transfers us back to the overworld. And that's all you need to do. But let's try one final thing. Now, if you're in event mode, if you right click on a tab by right clicking on it like so, we can go to quick event creation and actually create a transfer event for us. It'll ask us to select a location, so we can select one of the locations. We can select a direction, so we can select a direction. And when we hit OK, it'll actually let us create our own quick event. And as you can see, it's pretty much identical to what we created. The only difference is they have this play sound effect for move 1. And this makes it so that there's a sound effect that it plays when we transfer through the event. So let's actually take this and add it into our own transfer event. So let's right click on it, hit copy, and now we can actually go to this event and we can just delete it entirely. So we'll right click and hit delete. Now go back to our own event. We will right click right here and we'll hit paste, and it'll paste it on top of this event right here. So now, finally, we can delete these other 3 events. So delete, delete, delete. Now we can copy and paste this new one on top of all these. And I did so just by hitting Control C, then Control V as a quick thing to do it. Now, we'll have a sound effect that plays during our transfer. So that's all we can do for that situation. But say we're in our game and we want to go somewhere that we can't really walk on top of, like these mountains right here. As you can see, if we push into them, we can't really walk on top of them. So even if we did use one of those events, they'd actually not activate because we aren't walking on top of them. So all we'd really have to do is actually do something similar to what we did for these events, only we combine it with what we learned from the NPC. So if we paste one of these events here, we can go into it and go to the priority and the trigger. So let's set the priority to the same as characters, and this will make it so that if the player pushes against it, they can actually activate the event without really having to step on top of it to do the player touch trigger. Alternative Sayer did for these events, only we combine it with what we learned from the NPC. So if we paste one of these events here, we can go into it and go to the priority and the trigger. So let's set the priority to the same as characters, and this will make it so that if the player pushes against it, they can actually activate the event without really having to step on top of it to do the player touch trigger. Alternatively, we can set this to action button, and this would be the same as our NPC, which means we just have to be looking towards it, push the action button, and the event will activate. So if we paste this event all over our mountains right here, and realistically probably just will put it on one side, but if we want to make it so that mountains can be activated from all sides, we'd simply do that. Now run our game again. Now, when we go to our mountains, we can walk into them, and if we push the enter button, it'll transfer us to our town, because we didn't really make a mountain map. But you get the point, and that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Please be sure to subscribe, leave a comment on ways you want to see a Newt beginner's tutorial. Until next time, RPG Maker tutorial out. So we have our town here, and it's a beautiful looking town, I guess. The problem is there are no people in here, but we know how to solve that situation, because if we go back to our original map, we'll find, yeah, we know how to create an NPC. They're just standing right there, and just standing right there, not really doing anything at all. In fact, how do we make an NPC like this one move around? It doesn't have to be in a specific pattern, or perhaps you want to like run around circles for an extended period of time. And in today's tutorial, we are going to be learning how to do that. So let's go to our Town 1 map, and let's just get straight into it. So to start off, let's review how you create an NPC. We create an event, we set an image, we'll set to any random image like this person right here, we'll make sure the priority is the same as characters, their trigger is the action button, and we'll give them some dialogue to say. So we'll go to tab 1, show text, this is a dialogue. There we go. And now we have our NPC. But now, how do we make this guy move? And the answer is this little place right here called the autonomous movement. And here we can set it so our event is moving around. So if you may notice, it's set to fixed right now, which means it's going to be standing in a fixed position. But we have 3 other choices: random, approach, and custom. Now random, you could probably guess, he's going to move in a random direction. Approach, that means he's going to approach the player, and custom means we're going to set up our own custom movement route. So to start off, let's focus on random. Now, as you can guess, he's going to move a random position or a random direction every certain amount of whatever. So to determine how fast and how often he's going to move, we're going to use the speed and the frequency things down here. Now speed, this is going to be how fast he moves from one tile to the other tile. So as you may notice on our map right here, we have all these things separated into tiles like this. And if you may have noticed, when playing your game, your player and all the NPCs and basically everything sticks to a certain tile. So this guy is going to move to this tile maybe, then maybe this tile next time, then maybe this one. Now, if you set it so your speed is say like super fast, number 6, very 4 times X fast, that means he's going to like zoom in to each tile. He's going to be pretty much teleporting from one tile to the next tile. He's not going to be doing it very often, but he's going to be doing it when he does do it very fast. So if we set it something like slower or the slowest possible, that means he's going to move like very slow from one tile to the next. And like with normal, it's going to be more like a natural movement. And like I said, the faster is going to be the instantaneous, super fast, super crazy tile movement. So for this example, since we have a random movement type, let's set it so it's about a little slower, since we want to make it so this an NPC appears just like wandering around, not really doing anything, so he's moving sort of slower. Now comes a frequency, which as you could probably guess, this is how frequent they will move from tile to tile. So if we have it on, say, the highest, this means they'll be constantly moving. They'll move to one tile, the next, and the next, and just keep moving on and on and on. On the other hand, if we have something like normal, this means we're going to go to a tile, wait like, I don't know, a certain like tile, wait, tile, wait, tile, wait, tile, wait, just like that. Now, if that's something like lowest or the lowest frequency, it'd be tile, wait a good period of time, then next tile, wait a good period of time again, then another movement. And so it's going to be a very low frequency in which they move. So don't get these two confused. Remember, speed is going to be how fast they move from one tile to the next, and frequency is going to be how often they do move from one tile to the next. So, well, like I said, we have this random guy who just appears to be wandering around, so let's set him to have a pretty slow speed and a pretty slow frequency. Now let's go test him out in our game by going to our town map. So let's go enter in our town right here, and when we come out, we will find our guy right over here. And as you can see, he's just wandering around. He's moving low, he just saw him move down, he moved down again. Maybe he's gonna move to the left or right this time. Hopefully he will. Another bad thing you might want to keep in mind is that when you do have a random movement person, they probably want to be in a more open area. If you make them in a very enclosed area, that means they're not going to have very many options to move around, and thus is going to either force them to go somewhere else or make it appear they're not moving at all, since they will just be stuck in a certain position. So that's all for this type. Let's go into the next type of movement we can create. So next type is going to be the approach type. And for the most part, you won't really use this for any typical NPC, but you may use this in the future events that we'll go over later. But for the time being, approach is going to be an event that makes it so the NPC approaches a player. Now, whenever you do use this, I would recommend using the highest frequency. So that means they're going to be constantly moving. And if you want to follow the player, or maybe it's an enemy that's trying to attack the player, you want to be moving as fast as possible, or at least moving as frequently as possible. Now, for the speed itself, it depends on the NPC. We'll set it to normal for now. And let's go test out how this looks in our game. So once again, let's go into our I meant to say enter into our beautiful town, but here we have it. Our NPC is going a little crazy, but here he is. He's coming after us, sort of anyway. It's not the most precise following procedure thingy they go through, but as you can see, they are indeed trying to catch up to us. So let's run around over here. Oh, they're coming over here. Let's go. Oh, we're trapped. We're trapped. They have us. No! And finally comes the probably easiest to use, which is a custom. Now this is going to let you use this route button right here, and this is going to let you set a custom route for your NPC. So let's go click on this route button, and it's going to bring up this huge, weird, awesome looking movement controls thingy. Now you can think of this as sort of like the events, in which you're going to click on one of these buttons, it's going to add it to the list, then he's going to go through each event of the list, and then do all of it. So if we say did move down, move right, move up, move left, that'd be sort of like a circle. So down, right, up, left. If you look down here, we have the options, which are going to be repeat movements, which of course this means once they get to the bottom of the list, they'll go straight back up to the top of the list. We may also want to use skip if cannot move, which means if they get into like a situation where they hit a wall or they can't move because of bad planning or whatever, it's just going to skip that movement. Otherwise, if they do get stuck and you have this unclicked, that means they're going to just stuck there until they can move. And if they can't ever move, then they're stuck there forever. So just for safety precautions, you might want to keep this checked. Now the final check is faded out for different purposes we'll learn about later. And we also have all these other things. Now a lot of these are going to be very, very complex. We'll learn about them later. But for the time being, you may want to focus on move down, move left, move right, move up, move left, right for these diagonal ones, move at random, move towards player, turn down to like turn left, turn right, just turn in a certain direction. And if you really get complex about it, you can, but we won't. So we're going to hit OK. We're going to hit OK. We're going to make sure his path is clear. So like, remember we did down, down, right, right, up, up, left, left. And it looks like perfect to me. He's going to do a big circle around these rocks. So let's test it out by playing our game. So finally, let's go back into our very amazing town. Let's go to this guy and look at him go. He's running around the rocks like we told him to. So he's just going in one big circle. Down, down, right, right, up, up, left, left, down, down, right, right, up, left, left. If you recall, his frequency is still on the highest form, so that means he's constantly moving, and he has a normal speed, so he's moving at a pretty decent speed. Not too fast, but not too slow. And if we want to talk to him, we just get in his path and say, hey, yeah, remember? He is skip if cannot move, so if we try and get in front of him, he's just gonna keep moving. This is gonna be a little hard, but I gotcha. Oh, he's getting away. No, gaha. This is a dialogue. We got him. And then he's going to just start running in a circle some more. So yeah, now let's go over one final thing. So lastly, we have these couple things right here which are called the options. Now pretty much, let's explain what they do. This check mark makes it so they have their walking animation while they're actually walking. So if you may notice, a couple of these characters have these walking animation frames that you can use. If you unchecked this, that will mean he'll just look like this the entire time he's moving. And you may want that if you want to disable the animation for whatever reason. Maybe they're got, I don't know, they got captured and they can't move out of the thing they're captured in. Or perhaps they got, like, I don't know, I had an example but I forgot it. Anyway, for the most part, if you have a human or moving NPC, then I'd suggest clicking this on. But next comes the stepping option. Now this means they're gonna have the stepping animation when they're not moving. So if you click this, that means if they're standing still, they have the stepping animation. So you can think of it as sort of the opposite of the walking animation. Walking, this is for having animation when you're actually walking. Stepping is for having animation when you're standing still. You also have the directional fix, which means they won't really change their direction while they're moving around. So if we click this, that means he'll always be looking downward throughout his entire movement cycle. And finally, we have through, which means they can move through objects, pretty much. And if you have that checked, that means they'll move through walls, move through anything, and nothing can stop them. So that's all for this video. What do you want to see in a future tutorial? If you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Please be sure to subscribe. Please be sure to comment below what you liked and what you want to see happen. Until next time, RPG Maker tutorial. Yeah, this guy, he's He's pretty weird.